Now, the Democratic Republic of Congo is expected to release the final results of last week's presidential and legislative elections on Thursday. The final vote tally comes amid threats of violence from supporters of the top candidates. Preliminary results from nearly 90% of polling places showed incumbent President Joseph Kabila was likely headed for re-election with almost 50% of the vote. His closest challenger, Etienne Tshisekedi, had 33%. Supporters of both men have hinted that violence could break out if their candidate is not named the winner. Several Congolese we spoke with here in Washington question the legitimacy of the vote and say a result that favors Kabila would not be acceptable to them.
Kabila has never been popular in the DRC, and everybody knows it. And I work with civil society organizations in the DRC who were somehow involved in the electoral process and who kept telling us every day that the electoral process was all a mess. You heard about the allegations of fraud, the stuffing of the ballots, everything. So there is no way Kabila can win this election. There is no way he can win. If he wins, there is fraud. That's all.
If he wins, really I would say no. He did really not win because we know that really Kabila is not popular. The problem is just to get those, what he's doing, intimidation.
5 of 6 people in the Congo, they will tell you the same thing. The majority of the people in the Congo, they are afraid that the result might not reflect the reality of the ballot. So you will see a lot of people right now running away from the capital, Kinshasa, crossing the border to Congo-Brazzaville. They're fearing what's going to be as a aftermath of the election. It's absolutely impossible. In Kinshasa, President Kabila can lead over 2 million of votes to Mr. Tshisekedi, which is the most popular in Kinshasa. So just that example gives you the sense of what is going on right now in the Congo.
Now, troops are on standby in Kinshasa in case of unrest, while the United Nations, European Union and African Union have called on civilians and political figures to remain calm and avoid bloodshed. Joining us on the phone now from Kinshasa is VOA correspondent Scott Stearns, who's going to give us more insight. But Scott, before we start talking about what's going on the ground, these views we just heard, how reflective are they really of the reality on the ground, especially when we hear that these preliminary results are showing Kabila in the lead?
Well, I mean, they're obviously reflective of people who support Mr. Tshisekedi. But, I've spoken to many people here in the capital who do support President Kabila and feel that while he hasn't accomplished everything that he set out to do in his first term, he has done enough in their mind to warrant a second term, especially when they look at the 78-year-old Mr. Tshisekedi as a figment of the past. He's a, longtime opposition leader. He's, when you associate a politician with being a longtime opponent of Mobutu Sese Seko, then perhaps a younger president, Joseph Kabila is 41, does appeal to you. Even after the vote counting in neighborhoods that were strongly UPDS, the Tshisekedi party, even in those neighborhoods, most of the polling stations that I went to showed Tshisekedi leading, but 2-1, 3-1. Even in those neighborhoods, there was some support for the president.
Now, I'm assuming that the anxiety is being raised even more with the continued delay of announcing these results. First, they were supposed to have been announced earlier in the week. Then we had 48 hours. What is the mood in the country? People anxious about what the outcome, at least there is the announcement of the results, could bring in terms of violence?
Ndimyake, it's odd today. When these results were to be announced on Tuesday, Kinshasa was near deserted. The security was out in force. The city was very tense. Today, as people know that they're still awaiting these results, traffic is maybe a little less than normal, but many of the shops were open. The food markets were open. Buses and taxis are out. It's surprising, but it seems to be far less tense after the two-day postponement than it would have been on Tuesday. Now, that is not to say what will happen after the vote. People I talked to today said, well, yeah, we're not worried now because we know that the results will come tonight. Mm-hmm. But many people here expect that depending on what happens overnight, tomorrow there will be very little activity on the street in Kinshasa.
Specifically with the opposition, Tshisekedi in particular, these threats to not accept the results, boycott maybe, what is the likelihood that the opposition is going to pursue this further, maybe take legal action against the results?
Well, I think that's almost a certainty. As you said, the outcome of this election seems decided that President Kabila is heading toward re-election. So the Tshisekedi party will contest these results in court. That's one of the reasons that foreign governments here in the United States and Great Britain are calling on the Electoral Commission to announce its results polling station by polling station so that those numbers can be analyzed by all the political parties and compare them to what was said on the ground.
Scott Stearns, thank you so much for that coverage, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again tomorrow when the results are released.